Welcome to Retirement Rescue Radio, a show specifically designed to help retirees and pre-retirees maximize their financial efficiency so you can live the retirement lifestyle you've always imagined. Your host is Nate Miller, investment advisor representative and author of the CPR Retirement Rescue Roadmap. Nate discusses thoughts and ideas from some of today's most knowledgeable professionals in the field of finance. He offers strategies along the way to help you make better financial decisions so you can maximize your retirement. This is Retirement Rescue Radio.
Hey there, Retirement Rescue Radio listeners. I'm your host, Nate Miller, and we're back with another episode. And today, I'm going to go over an article that I found interesting because the title of it is, Can You Retire with $1 Million? And it also asks, here's how far it will go. So the reason I like this one is because we all hear that magic number, $1 million is what you have to have. And if you don't, well, I feel like that, this article basically just perpetuates the fear that's already inherent with retiring and giving up that steady paycheck and then having to live off of what you've saved your entire life. It just perpetuates that feeling in the pit of the stomach that, do I have enough? Is it going to last? Is my spouse going to be okay if something happens to me? It's like, so it's just compounding on that because it goes on and they interview a couple different advisors in some different areas. And one of them, when asked, how long is the $1 million going to ask in retirement? He says about 20 years. And that was it, 20 years. And to come to that conclusion, he used data from the Federal Bureau of Labor Statistics, which shows that those age 65 and older have annual average expenses of about $50,000. And for that part, he's right. Average expenses, matter of fact, if you want to just know the blanket, everybody involved, and this comes from, once again, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, everybody, it's about $53,000. If you go from 55 and older, it's about 49. If you specifically say 55 to 64, right? So that little 10-year age gap, which does include a lot of people that are just now starting to get into retirement, since the average retirement age is around 62 in America. So now you've got people that are retiring and starting to travel and stuff. So it does jump up a bit to 56,000, which is actually the highest spending group right there from age 55 to 64. That's the highest spending group, around $56,000 per year. And from 65 to 74, then it goes back down to right under 50,000, about 48.8. And then 75 and older, it drops down to 36,000. So about 3,000 a month at that point. So at that point, he is correct. Average annual expenses of about $50,000. They're going to assume an inflation rate of about 2.9%. So let's just call it 3. And then the assumption of their earnings is going to be about 4% per year. And then let's say the state and federal taxes are going to be about a 30% rate combined. Now, what we're finding though, 30% combined is not going to be, if you're spending $50,000, you're not in the 30% tax bracket. You are not being taxed that much. It's a progressive tax system. 0% because you've got basically your deductions and standard deduction if you have any credits, anything like that. So there's an amount of money that you can earn and not pay any tax on it. And then you're in the 10%, and then you're 12%. Well, if someone's married, this is household expenses here, $50,000. If you're married and your annual household expenses are $50,000, you're not even in the 22% tax bracket at that point. You're in the 10, 12. You haven't even hit the 22 yet. So you're not spending 30. So one, that's a little flawed there. So we'll just continue on this for a little bit here. But $1 million might seem like a lot, but in today's world, it's not really a lot of money. This guy, what was his name here? Brent Lipschultz. He says he calculates that a retiree needs to save an additional $765,000 to fully fund a 35-year retirement. And so he's saying basically $1.765 million is what you have to save in order to fund a full 35-year retirement. Well, here's the issue. I plugged a lot of these numbers into our own software. And what he's figuring is the whole $50,000 is coming from your nest egg. And that's not the case. I mean, the average Social Security check right now is right around $1,500 a month. So that's like $18,000 a year. Once again, if you calculate that as far as the if a couple is each earning Social Security, figure out the averages there. Well, now there's a very small amount that needs to come from the nest egg in order to hit that $50,000 spending need. So that was an issue. Also, cost of living adjustments that can come from Social Security and all of that. So I don't like the numbers that he used, that Mr. Lipschultz used in this. Once again, I feel like he's just perpetuating the fear. And maybe his whole plan is to get people scared so that they have more money that they save throughout their lives. So they put more money with him to manage. Maybe that's what he's trying to do. But I feel like you were feeding too much fear in here. But some factors to consider, though. Let's put that on the shelf now here for a little bit. And let's actually talk about some of the things to consider when it comes to retirement and whether or not $1 million is going to be enough. It's going to depend on a lot of factors. One's geography, longevity, your lifestyle, healthcare, retirement income from other sources, and then investment risk, and also inflation. So geography, just to give you an idea of the span, I guess, the range of reality, the range of differences in income needs. If you are in New York City, according to the financial technology company Smart Asset, they found that retirees in New York City would deplete $1 million in about 10.21 years. So not even the 20 that the advisor I mentioned earlier said it would last. It's only going to last about 10.21, while the cash, if you were in, say, McAllen, Texas, would last about 32 and a quarter years. So you've got New York lasting 10 and McAllen, Texas lasting about 32. So 3 times as long based on your geography. That's a big difference. So just where you live can have a huge impact on the longevity of your portfolio. And once again, mentioning longevity, that actually leads us into the next portion: how long you live. No one actually has that crystal ball and knows exactly how they're going to live, but you can make some educated guesses based on your own health, your own family's history. If you want, I think I did a podcast a while ago that talked about the Living to 100 calculator. You can probably just literally Google that and plug in all your own stuff. Mine said I was supposed to live to 96. So that's what we can plan for, right? Or at least it can give us a little bit better of an idea of what we can plan for, right? And so those that live well into their 80s, 90s, and for those few that live beyond $1 million may not be enough, but working with the right financial advisor could be a way to figure that out. As I've mentioned in past episodes, when it comes to good retirement planning, the American College of Financial Services has said that with financial planning, it is possible to get up to 38% more income using different techniques than what they could have on their own. And so if you've got $1 million you don't have $1 million, that extra 38% that you can get by working with an advisor could make all the difference on whether or not you do have money to last your entire life. So lifestyle also, that's going to be a big key. So, and this is another reason that the whole $1 million number to me doesn't make nearly as much sense as what it might to others, is because I've got clients that have over $1 million that might end up running out because they spend way too much. But then I've got others that have, say, $500,000 or even less that are going to have no problem whatsoever because they've got enough coming from guaranteed sources like maybe Social Security, pensions, and annuities that they're going to be hard pressed to spend everything, right? So we've got guys that have over $1 million that might run out. We've got guys that have less than five. And I would say guys, I mean like families that have less than $500,000 that won't. And so it's all about lifestyle there as well. Your income, if your outgo exceeds your income, your upkeep will be your downfall. All right. There's that saying out there. So let me say that again, because it was kind of quick. If your outgo exceeds your income, your upkeep will be your downfall. Right. So make sure you keep an eye on what you're spending in retirement. Don't have an extravagant lifestyle if you don't have the portfolio to manage or portfolio to handle that. Healthcare obviously is going to be a big one. According to a Fidelity Health retiree healthcare cost estimate, they found out that a couple retiring today may need about $300,000 in healthcare costs throughout their entire retirement. So healthy seniors, maybe that's a little bit less. So it's always great. An ounce of prevention is always worth a pound of cure. So there's another one. And then here's where they finally talk about the other sources of income, Social Security or pension. So you may not need the entire $1 million to fund that $50,000 average lifestyle. I had average with air quotes, those that are listening to me on the audio portion and not over on YouTube where you can see. But yeah, air quotes around that average. I know some people a lot more than 50,000, some people less than that, but that's kind of the average here. And so how much is coming from other areas and what's the gap? The gap is really all you really need to account for from your investments. And speaking of your investments, how risky are they is another thing to consider, because market instability can take a huge bite out of assets, especially if you're pulling money out of it at the same time, because of the math of gains and losses, how that works. It always takes a larger percentage gain to offset a smaller percentage loss. If you take money out when there's a loss, that's a bigger hit to the portfolio. So it's just that much more that the portfolio has to gain to overcome that. And so that's what we call reverse dollar cost averaging. It does not work out very well. So we have to lower that risk, lower that sequence of return risk in retirement. Too aggressive can mean savings don't grow enough to offset inflation, but too conservative means not savings don't grow enough. Too aggressive, excuse me, I'm getting ahead of myself. Too aggressive means that you could unnecessarily lose money. So there's got to be a balance between taking on enough risk, but not too much to make sure that your volatility stays in a manageable area so that you don't ever have the emotional, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Periods come up in your life that cause you to make decisions that may not necessarily be the right ones. And so how to determine what the right amount really is for you. Honestly, advisors are really good at helping that out, helping you out there, figuring out what's inflation could possibly do, all those other what ifs that could happen, the healthcare costs, the lifestyle that you've got right now, inflation, all that can be, I want to say we can figure that out to a pretty good amount with a lot of the software programs that we've got and the planning that we're able to do, the different products that we have available, understanding how they all work together, the goods, the bads, the ugly, of everything that's out there and how to make them work together so that it works smoothly. So a lot of people, they underestimate what the cost in retirement is going to be. And so having a plan and working with an advisor that could possibly get them more than they originally thought is going to be extremely important. The old rule of thumb, the 4% rule, where it says, 4% of your investments is what you should be able to live off of in the last 30 years. Well, if you have $1 million, that means 40,000. And so let's say you've got your average of 18,000 coming in from Social Security. So that's about 36. Well, another 40 from your investments is $76,000. And so that could be, maybe that's more than what you need. Maybe that's not enough. And so then that's when, once again, working with a financial advisor could definitely help out there. Now, getting to $1 million, it may seem like a lot, but obviously we all know the power of compounding. We know the old adage, the sooner you start, the sooner the less you have to put in order to hit that mark. Matter of fact, a 25-year-old planning to retire at 65 needs to save approximately $400 a month to achieve $1 million balance, assuming a 7% annualized return. So $400 a month, maybe that sounds like a lot to some, maybe it sounds like not a whole lot to some, and what I would do is just set that up with, if you're working with someone, if they have any type of a retirement plan, just set that up automatic. Some companies even match that, could even mean that could be even less that you have to put into it. And so don't get discouraged by your lack of savings today. The important thing is just to set money aside. Whatever amount you can set aside is going to be better than nothing. And just let the power of compounding go to work for you. I know a lot of people that say, well, I started working, but then I got married. Well, then I had kids. It's like, before any of that happens, start setting some stuff up. If you're already in that point right now, figure out what you can put aside, even if it's like $50 a month, put it aside. So some of you, if you're listening to this and you're older and you're already way past that part, maybe send in this episode to your kids, right? This is how you get $1 million. You're 25 years old, save $400 a month. And if you think about that, as you get older, you're going to be getting raises. And if you can not put that raise completely towards lifestyle and actually decide, oh, I got a 5% raise, maybe I'll increase my contributions by 2.5%. And then I can play around with the other 2.5%, whatever. So don't just let all of your raises go to lifestyle. Let it go to savings as well. So other saving, strategies to boost savings could be minimizing taxes, cutting expenses. However you reach your goal, with careful planning and some guidance along the way, you should be able to stretch that $1 million or whatever amount that you have at retirement. You should be able to stretch that into a decades long retirement. So if you are wondering whether or not the amount that you have is enough for your retirement, and you don't know for sure whether or not it's going to last, then go ahead and reach out to us. You can reach us. We'll have a link in either the description, the comments, wherever it is that you're listening to this or watching it. You'll be able to have a link to our calendar, be able to schedule a 15-minute phone call with me and figure that out. If the number one fear of retirees is whether or not they're going to run out of money, will my money last? Number one fear. If that's it, let's put it to bed. Let's figure it out. Let's test it. Let's put it into the 10,000 different possible return scenarios out to your life expectancy. Let's see if there's any other mix of products and investment vehicles that we can use in order to get you a better outcome and a more consistent outcome, a more confident outcome for your retirement. That's really what we're trying to do here, guys. So that's it for today. Always trying to bring you more information to help empower you to live the retirement you deserve. So thanks for listening and stay tuned next week.